heard it said recently that you need to have three types of friends on the road with you: those who are further ahead up the road, who have already been where you are. You need folks on the road who are walking beside you, who are in the same stage of life, and you need to make friends of those who are behind you on the road, who are looking to you. But as you point out, the other side of that is you can look to them. Number 4, just a duh, really. Keep good records of what you preached.
Well, you say that that's a duh, but for some of us that are not very organized, it's not really a duh.
Well, and I preach to myself first, because that's an area where I've had lapses, and I'm much more effective when I do. Yeah.
Well, plus also
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Plus also with technology, if you're not recording your lessons, you need to listen to them. You need to take a step back and just listen. You'll hear tone. You'll this. I'm going to put it on those self-scouting. Got to do your own self-scouting report. And when you do that, when you do that, you'll find out some of your tendencies, and that will help you, and you'll be able to pick out when you had a high or a low in your sermon, and because you may have lost, or you have added something to your sermon because you've been studying it. You know what you want to preach on, and then you're there that day and something happened. You got to be able to go back and assess. And then I would also say we need mentorship, and I believe that would help us.
Yeah.
And mentorship doesn't have to be somebody older than you. You need to be able to. I'm not picking on you, Sam, but Sam is younger. So when I say something to Sam, he said, "Well, Mike, that's not how we talk today." But I'm trying to connect to his age group. And if I have an age group in my congregation and I'm speaking above his head, that's not going to help me. But Sam can give me the feedback that I need.
That's right.
Because I'm speaking to, you're doing this. So I think those mentorship is just not an older person. I think about spirituality. Someone's trying to strive and help you, and you help them.
Yeah. I heard it said recently that you need to have three types of friends on the road with you: those who are further ahead up the road, who have already been where you are, who you can look to, who've already accomplished what it is, or have already been through what it is that you're heading toward. You need folks on the road who are walking beside you, who are in the same stage of life, or going through the same thing you are. And you need to make friends of those who are behind you on the road, who are looking to you. But as you point out, the other side of that is you can look to them. I'm at the stage where I have grandkids now, but I have sons who are a generation younger than me, who are the age of some of the guys in this class, and I rely on them and others of their age to help plug me in to how folks are thinking. I may think I know. I may read books and articles and other things that kind of give me insights from experts, but there's nothing to substitute for those real life relationships that can help.
Yeah, there's times when I've said things, and I have it in my notes, and my whole purpose of it was to convey compassion, and then have somebody come up to me afterwards and say, "Well, that didn't sound awfully compassionate." So I think that's invaluable. And I've, my own brother Michael has said to me before, "What were you thinking in that particular section when we do a sermon in a class?"
Mm-hmm.
We critique each other afterwards. I didn't hear that in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I learned from being in the service industry for a very long time: perception is reality.
Yep.
Period. Yep. And you can't argue that. It's beyond argument. What they perceived is reality to them.
That's it.
So if they don't hear compassion, it doesn't matter whether you meant compassion or not.
Right. Yep. Tough skin, tender heart. I mean, it's a thing that will recur throughout. And something that was said a moment ago is true. I don't like it. You may it doesn't say anything about you, good or bad. I don't like to listen to my preaching. I don't like to watch me. But it's helpful to find out what bad habit. We all fall into bad habits. I taught homiletics several years at Bear Valley, and we would record the lessons, and then we would in the front of the class we would walk through each guy's lesson, and we'd critique. And of course we had some ground rules for that, but we had guys. My method, I'm sure I got this from Linda Winkler, was you at the top of the page, you do the little T evaluation with a plus or minus with a line down the middle of the column, and then write down the negatives, minuses, or the things to work on. The positives are things you saw that you did well. We always started with the negative. We always ended with the positive, but we said follow the golden rule in that, realizing you're going to be evaluated too. So try to even make the criticisms, couch them in as much encouragement as you can, but point out. So what happens when 5 or 6 guys, or some of those classes were even larger than that, when they're hearing the same thing from multiple sources, it's designed to help them to eliminate that which becomes a verbal tick, or typically it's some kind of distracting gesture or mannerism, the jingling the keys in the pocket, the various things that you might do that detract from the good message. And so having that is always helpful.
My grandfather had a saying that he used: if 1 or 2 people tell you look like a horse, you can ignore it. But if everybody's telling you look like a horse, it's time to buy a saddle.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. Yeah. Because at some point, that's landing. You just
if 8 people, you can try to ignore it if you want to, but
to what end?
What end? You're not helping yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good thoughts. Anything else?
I like Michael's comment on but. He usually has a big problem when I say but. You said it, Brother Pollard. He have a problem. Then he started saying but too. That's good, Mike. I'm glad, because you know how we critique one another.
Well, I mean, I was always taught that if you say something and you throw a but in there, that just means that everything from before that is irrelevant. That's what we were taught. That's what I was taught in my writing classes and everything else. Is a but means everything prior to that becomes irrelevant at that point. So I try to avoid that word as much as I can.
Yeah. I'm trying to resist quoting Ephesians 2:4 to you, but God, who is rich in mercy, for the great love with which He loved us. But however, I get your point. I see where you're coming from. All right. Let me just kind of preview where we're going next class. We're going to come into class on Thursday, and we're going to start with the exercise in Unit 2. We are putting to bed Jesus, the prayerful and personally devoted preacher, and we're going to start with the preacher and his work. We're going to deal with Jesus' private life. So we're talking about on the relationship side of things, not him and God, but him in his private relationships. I will probably put the assignment in the LMS, and we'll begin class like we did with the first one, with you guys collaborating with each other, and I'll give you the specifics of that assignment.